Time to wake up. It's Saturday morning. Find some milk and cereal. Grab a bowl and spoon. No, a bigger spoon. Head to the living room and take a seat on the floor while Joseph and Chris present to you Saturday Morning Cartoon!
Hello everybody and welcome to Saturday Morning Cartoon Boom! This is a show where we wake up with the Saturday morning sun, plop on for a bit of sugar cereal, and watch all your favorite cartoons, both old and new. I'm Joseph.
And I'm Chris.
And this morning, we watched Kim Possible.
Oh, I get it. So it's like impossible, but Kim Possible. And if you ignore the K, it's saying impossible, but it's Kim Possible. Okay.
Yeah.
I get it.
It's a pun, but so supposedly so is Ron Stoppable. But then if you take the R out, it's just unstoppable, which is still not a word.
I don't get it.
I do like that his last name is Stoppable, seeing as how useless he is. And that's fun.
Pretty much. Yeah. This was suggested by Ira Sutton via YouTube. Ira might be the king of requests now because I think this is like the fourth one of his that we've had.
And they just keep getting upvoted?
They keep getting upvoted. You people like his submissions. Like him and Doggy, 37,
Doggy Vision?
Doggy Vision, yes. Doggy Vision and Ira are getting all the upvotes lately, so congratulations.
My theory is that they are one person and they have hundreds of accounts and they are upvoting themselves. Nice. And by themselves, I mean themselves because it's one dude. Or chick, I don't know.
If that's the case, they have no life because we have had a lot of votes on our thing. It's in the thousands.
Well, congratulations to Ira Sutton and Doggy Vision.
Congratulations,
Ira Sutton
you
this
guys.
time.
We're super proud of you both.
So the theme song for this is like it's kind of catchy, right?
Terrible.
You don't like it?
I don't like it. It's
catchy.
Every 90s pop song rolled into a cartoon intro.
Well, it was very early 2000s, so it kind of makes sense that it would be, yeah?
I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
Call me, beat me, if you want to reach me.
But you sing songs like that all the time anyway.
Well, yeah, to myself, in my car, /shower, /public, whatever. So the show Kim Possible ran from 2002 to 2007, created by Bob Schooley and Mark McCorkle. Funny name, McCorkle.
Wait. Say those names again. That's fun.
Okay. Created by Bob Schooley. That's fine. And Mark McCorkle, which is great. I love that name.
McCorkle?
It sounds like a made-up character from SpongeBob or something.
Yeah, McCorkle. I like it. Yeah. He's just like, it's like the cork off of a bottle that got dropped in the ocean.
Yeah.
And he talks.
I'm Mark McCorkle.
I'm McCorkle.
Oh yeah, some kind of pirate.
I love it.
I love it too. It's produced by Walt Disney Television Animation and Disney Channel Original. I guess that's what it's called.
Sure. Ran
for 4 seasons, 87 episodes on the Disney Channel Network in case the producers didn't clue you in. And for a short synopsis, and this is great, like I'm going to read the synopsis exactly as it's written, and I want everybody to know, as always, we did not write this.
Okay.
So if it sounds bad and you don't like it, don't blame us.
Hold on.
But I brought it up because it's funny. Yeah, exactly. Kim Possible, not just an ordinary girl. She is a cheerleader and she saves the world. And that's right. There were 2 these in there.
Okay.
Even on school nights. With her sidekick, best friend, and now new boyfriend and his naked mole rat, Rufus, go through normal teenage life while saving the world. What else can she do? Oh, hold on. I didn't read the last part with enough enunciation.
Oh.
It's got an exclamation point.
Okay.
What else can she do? Okay.
Okay, cool. I like it. I think that we don't even have to review it now because that gives you everything you need.
I mean, it covers all the bases. It even adds an extra "the" in there just to make sure. Just for kicks.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah. I like how they call her boyfriend and don't even mention his name.
No. But they do mention his naked mole rat's name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay, so let's come up with a more apt description. Would probably be a teenage girl who travails the drama of high school while also acts as the world's leading super agent. How about that? Does that sound better?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, it hits all the key points.
Along with her sidekick, Ron, and his naked mole rat pet, Rufus.
What else can she do? Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
Yeah, but if it was an exclamation point and no question, you can't say, what else can she do? You got to say,
Oh, that's
what else
right.
can she do?
That's right, yeah. It's not even
a question. You're saying
Nope.
it.
So all the key points were covered. Yeah, secret
Yes.
agent. Well, not even a secret agent. There's no secrecy about her. She's a very public agent. What I really found curious about it, and I kind of liked, was how opposing it was to what I would have expected it to be when I was first introduced to it, because I would have assumed she was a secret agent working for some kind of military group or something. She was raised into it or something like that, but none of that is true. She kind of built this by accident, and it's not something that is gone over in the first episode or anything, but I read up a little bit on it, and she had started a website to help around her community for stuff like, watching cats or cleaning stuff for her neighbors or whatever. Mm-hmm. And she was accidentally dragged into something where some multimillionaire was trapped inside of his own house inside some kind of laser grid or something like that. He accidentally called on her through her website to come and help him because her catchphrase was, she can do anything, or I can do anything, or whatever. So he accidentally calls her. She comes in and saves him, and she gets a reputation from there. And then her website, which is kind of introduced in the first episode, is getting a ton of hits. And that's why you hear about her having to watch 7 cats for a week or something. Yeah, because that is part of what she originally was trying to do, but then she's just dragged into this whole save the world thing because of this one mistake that was made. So she's accidentally brought into the situation, but she's not opposed to it either. She's willing to live up to it and and rescue as many people as she can. And which is also a great thing about this show, because she's a female lead in a time where there weren't a lot of them. I mean, you can name them probably on one hand. You've got Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Alias. Those are the only 2 that I can think of.
I don't know if this might be too late, but Veronica Mars, that's the only other one I can think of.
Right. Yeah. So there weren't a lot regardless. Yeah. And so it's good to see, especially in a cartoon where it's very polarizing, because you don't want to lose too much of the male audience by it being too quote unquote girly. And you don't want to lose too much of the female audience by making another typical male the lead. So they found a good balance here, and just to start off the show, that's what I really appreciated about it.
I can agree with that. Look at us agreeing like regular folk.
From the beginning, that's rare.
Yeah.
That is rare.
Just
Except we disagreed already because you didn't like the song, and I liked it.
You do not like it. You're wrong.
Well, who are some of the actors who played in this show?
Kim Possible was voiced by Christy Carlson Romano, who was also known as playing the character of Ren Stevens on the TV show Even Stevens. Remember that thing? Yeah, that thing.
I do.
The character of Ron Stoppable was voiced by Will Friedle. This is another. He's done some voice acting stuff, but I think his first big break was another TV show where he played Eric Matthews on the show Boy Meets World. Don't know if he returns in the sequel, Girl Meets World, but maybe as the weird uncle. But he also voiced Terry McGinnis in Batman Beyond, which we have reviewed. He is the voice of Lion-O in the Thundercats reboot and the voice of Star-Lord in several Marvel cartoons. The voice of Rufus, yes, he does have a voice, even though he's a naked mole rat, was Nancy Cartwright, who is the voice of Bart Simpson from The Simpsons. She's also been in shows like My Little Pony and Friends, Pound Puppies, Goof Troop, The Critic, Animaniacs, and Rugrats. The voice of Dr. Draken was John DiMaggio, who's been in tons of cartoons. See the emphasis on tons? That means I meant it. His more standout roles include Bender from Futurama and Jake from Adventure Time. And then finally, the last character I'm going to mention here is Shigo, who's voiced by Nicole Sullivan. She was on Mad TV for 10 years from 1995 to 2005. She's also played the character of Holly on King of Queens, a recurring character on Scrubs named Jill, who I think was the hypochondriac that was always in. She also voiced Joan of Arc from Clone High, which I know you remember, Joseph, because we enjoyed that one, except for Gandhi.
Yeah.
No one likes Gandhi. In any form.
Well, I don't know about any form. I'm going to step back for a second, but I do think like it's funny that you mentioned that because I was going to bring it up too in relation to Ron Stoppable here, but in kind of a different way. But I'll bring that up later because that comes.
Oh yeah, I'm sure I know where this is going. I have foresight.
We will find out. So for a few tasty marshmallows out of our big bowl of Kim Possible cereal, Mark McCorkle. Oh, I love that name.
McCorkle.
Mr. McCorkle and Robert Schooley created the show in an elevator. McCorkle looked at Bob and said, "Kim Possible, she can do anything." And Schooley replied, "Her partner is Ron Stoppable. He can't do anything." And This is how, this is kind of the root of the show. And it's kind of like when you and I
was going to say,
start spouting random things.
This sounds like 80% of our conversations.
Yeah, like one of us will say something dumb, and then we'll just feed off of it until it becomes something amazing that the world just hasn't seen yet and may never see, but they might one day, and then they'll realize what geniuses we are.
Oh, you guys are in for it if you ever do see all of our ideas, because we have tons of them.
So many ideas.
So many.
At the time of its run, and even after its conclusion, Kim Possible was the most watched, highest rated, I don't know what that's supposed to be, and most beloved television show on Disney Channel until Phineas and Ferb came around in 2007. Kim Possible was the most tremendously successful show Disney Channel ever had after the 90s. I didn't like the way that's written, but it makes sense. Like all the key points are there. Yeah, exactly. So it was the most popular until Phineas and Ferb, but it's still the most successful overall. I found this part really funny. John Cena auditioned for the role of Ron Stoppable. When he didn't get the role, he decided it was a sign from above to pursue a career in professional wrestling. So if
okay, that sounds so made up. He's like, okay, well, I can't voice Ron Stoppable on this cartoon. Guess I better be a professional wrestler.
Yeah.
I love that jump.
The series pilot Crush, which we watched, takes place after the 4th and the 6th episodes. This suggests that early episodes were not aired in production order because Crush features Dr. Draken and Shigo, who weren't properly introduced until Tick, Tick, Tick in 2002. Which was the 4th episode, and Kim's hairdryer grapple gun, which was first presented to her in Bueno Nacho, which was in the 6th episode. So that means that it was one of those situations where they get the first order of episodes, and they're like, well, if you start out with this one, it's not going to have as good of an introduction to the character, so let's mix them up a little bit and kind of drop you into something that's already happening, and then we can use the other episode as kind of a prequel episode.
That's interesting.
Later on.
So, okay, so like they created them in order, but they didn't air them in order.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you if you thought it felt like this should have been the first episode.
No, I don't think it should have been, because right away I felt like I missed something. So
yeah, exactly.
I had to go back and look and see if there was a pilot that we missed, but I didn't dig too deep. But the place where we usually watch our stuff, I was looking around. I'm like, okay, no, this is the first episode. So I was very confused. So now I know that was justified.
Yeah, and I was confused at first too, because it was like, this feels like you're being dropped into this world that's already going on without proper introduction. And you kind of are. And it's not like the 4th episode, I guess, changes much to where it like gives her full intro. I think you don't get her actual full introduction until the first TV movie that she was in. And that's what gives you the whole kind of thing that I rounded up earlier, which was her kind of getting dropped into this whole situation. But you do get an introduction to Dr. Draken and Shigo in the 4th episode. In this episode, they're already like arch enemies with Kim Possible. So that's kind of the confusing part.
Okay, yeah, it did really feel like something was missing, and now I know why.
Ron's pet naked mole rat Rufus and Ron's catchphrase, Rufus, could possibly be taken from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. And I bring that up because we watched the cartoon version of that in a previous episode. And Rufus in that is George Carlin's character, who is the time travel dude, the guy who takes them around.
Oh.
I have nothing to prove that. I think that's just speculation, but
sounds it
could be
but
possible.
Hey, I mean, who knows?
On February 7th, this is good if you like the show.
Okay.
On February 7th of this year, 2018, Disney announced on Twitter that they are moving forward in making a live-action Kim Possible Disney Channel original movie.
I heard about this. Yeah.
Yeah, so that could be good news for fans since the last episode of this actual show aired in 2007. So it's been 11 years. I'd say if you're looking for more Kim Possible, it's about time they bring it back.
Yeah, and I have actually talked to a few people that are very excited about it, especially with some of the casting rumors going around. I don't think at this point they've cast anyone for sure, but I know that there's an actress being floated around as Kim Possible who currently plays the character of Cheryl on Riverdale. I'm not familiar with what her real name is, but there's a lot of buzz around her right now, so maybe that'll pan out.
I mean, I did like this show, so I thought that was a cool idea. And it's always kind of a toss-up with these like TV movies or whatever, but I think that if they treat it anything like they treated the show, that it could be good.
Madeleine Petsch. I can't say her name. Let's just forget that.
So prior to us getting this suggestion, had you ever watched this show before? I'm sure you've heard of it because it was all over the place back when we were in high school. But
I never watched it. I've only heard things about it, and I just assumed it wasn't a show for me. And I did think that this and Danny Phantom were in the same world. That is not the case, apparently. But I thought so, and the reason I thought so was because of Shigo. Because her outfit and her powers, her powers have that green glow, which is very reminiscent of Danny Phantom. So that was the reason I think that I drew that conclusion. But I do see, like, I typed both of their names into a thing, and I guess that there's a very big, like, shipping going on of Danny Phantom and Shigo. So it's an internet thing now, I guess.
I didn't think about that really, but I could totally see it. Their designs are very similar, and they've got the kind of primary color scheme things going on.
Very similar animation style, too.
Yeah. So I could see how you might get those, like, not necessarily mixed up, but kind of as a crossover thing. Yeah. Surprisingly, I don't think they ever did crossover.
No, I don't think so. Well, I mean, one was Nickelodeon and one was Disney, so
I think they would be ripe for it if ever that were to be brought up.
Why don't you get on that, Disney? Why don't you buy Nickelodeon like you buy everything else?
It's just a matter of time.
It is. True.
Yeah, I had heard of it, of course, because it was like there was all kinds of buzz about it back when we were youngins, but I never watched it either. The concept didn't really interest me, probably for the same reason I didn't watch Danny Phantom back then either. It just looked like a bunch of these other shows that were coming out around that time. They were all kind of like very similar in their stylings. And so I too would have assumed that they were all sort of the same show and just intermixed. So let's go ahead and jump into the 3 episodes we watched for today's show. Very first episode, highest rated episode, and finally a random listener chosen episode. Order may vary depending on how these episodes fall chronologically, but of course, at the start with the very first episode being Crush, season 1, episode 1, which, as we found out, was not the original first episode, but it's the one that ended up being the first episode. And in this one, world-saving cheerleader Kim Possible can do anything except ask Josh Mankey to the school dance. Yeah, she does, but that, like, she even states that, like, stopping this international criminal was easier than asking him to the dance. And that's where this show kind of balances, like, being a teenager with saving the world in such a strange way, almost to where saving the world is a side thing and being a teenager is the bigger challenge. Growing up is the biggest challenge.
I think you hit the nail on the head there, Joseph, and I think that is a quote that we will remember for all time. Growing up is the biggest challenge.
But I don't know if it's harder than saving the world.
Yeah, so the big thing that surprised me, and you mentioned this earlier, is that everyone knows who Kim is and what she does. So because I didn't know the background of her, because they didn't explain it in this first episode, I assumed, even until you said something, that she was given all of this equipment and stuff like that for a reason, that she maybe helped some government body or something. But I guess it turns out that that's not the case. So I was initially very surprised that everyone knew who she was and she didn't have a secret identity. Now I'm kind of like, oh, okay, well, I guess now it makes a little bit more sense that she doesn't have a secret identity. However, where does all the money for all of her gear and stuff come from if she's just doing this by herself?
That's a good question, and I don't know. We should add that she has the assistance of 10-year-old tech genius Wade, who is...
That's true.
Yeah, so I don't know.
He's the guy in the chair.
It sounds like he's the one constructing all these devices, and we see just some of the ingredients being his dad's stinky socks, but it's
that's gross.
It's a comedy show, like, first and foremost, really. Yeah. So, I mean, it's kind of an action comedy, so it's like there are things that you have to put aside. The first one being like where the money comes from to make these gadgets. So
right.
We're supposed to be under the assumption that Wade is just kind of constructing these out of, I guess, everyday household items or whatever he finds around the house.
Very ingenious. If that is the case. I do like, there's this kind of running joke in this first episode, at least, too, that I kind of liked, which was that like everyone that Kim kind of runs into is always thanking her for like saving them or doing something like saving their pet, or a lot of the times it's something like ridiculous, like, oh, thank you for that time that you saved me and my 7 children from a burning building as it was like being demolished by a bulldozer, just something crazy. And I always thought that was funny every time they did that.
I guess in a way that is a good pilot-y thing to do, where it's like, oh, so she's been around doing this for a little bit at least, because and Ron even says at one point, like, he's seen her wrestle a shark or something.
Yeah.
So we get a little bit of introduction to what her character has done in the past. So she's not completely new to this, but it is still kind of a fresh thing, since we see Wade, like I mentioned earlier, or we see him say that like she's getting a bunch of hits on her site now, and it's hard to keep up with.
Also, Wade is almost always drinking a soda. Like he is they went semi-stereotype in that they made her guy in the chair. I mean, if you guys watch television, you always know that there's a guy in the chair for a spy or something like that. He's the fat kid at the computer, always drinking a soda and eating chips. Like that's what they did. But I thought that was really funny.
Oh, another recurring thing that's happening is, so the school dance is happening, is going to be happening in the background here. So Kim's having trouble asking this guy who she's crushing on, Josh Mankey, out, because she usually goes with Ron. It's kind of like a friend date thing. And so now that she is trying to get an actual date, he's kind of like, oh, well, now I have to get something too. And so an ongoing joke is that he's asking like everyone out to the dance who they run across. Wade like gives the message that, or tells her about all these messages coming through. Most important one being in Tokyo, where Dr. Draken is attacking this factory, and so she and Ron eventually go over to Tokyo, but they have to like phone a friend, because I think Who Wants to Be a Millionaire was big at the time, so that was a popular phrase. And so they phone this pop star, Britina. And it was a cross between probably Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera, if I'm not mistaken.
Definitely was.
And so like this pop star, who she also helped in the past in some way, I can't remember, like she saved her concert or something from some crazy mishap. And so she flies her and Ron over to Tokyo. Ron asks her out too, and of course is rejected. And then they get to the factory, and they've got this translator who is this attractive woman who is translating for this like this diplomat guy, or I guess the owner of the factory. I'm not sure. He's like a short, older
Japanese guy.
Right. And so Ron asks her out, and she translates that to him, and he looks shocked and then like answers back to her. Yeah. That was really good.
That was good. I actually kind of liked Ron in this episode, but with the episodes that we watched, he progressively got more obnoxious.
Yeah, here's what I was confused about, because Ron in this one, it seemed he had like Will Friedle's like normal voice, and then in the later episodes, I thought that it was a different actor at first, because it got like so much higher pitched.
Yes, he went real screechy. Like
Yeah.
he was, and I mean screechy in two senses. I mean the sound of screeching and also Screech from Saved by the Bell. And I feel like the writing for his character changed a little bit too. And I don't know. I didn't like Ron's progression. I mean, in some ways I did, and in some ways I didn't. I like the progression of his character. I didn't like the progression of his personality, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. He did change from like a tolerable person into like someone who you were just kind of not rooting against, but who you're like, oh my gosh, like, come on. Like all you do is mess up now. Like he's just, everything that was happening to him or every personality trait he had in the first episode was amplified by 10, like in the progressive episodes after that. And I don't know what season that started in, but since we jumped from season 1 to season 3, by that time, like he is like full blown Ron.
Sucks.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there are only 2 workers in this factory who they're trying to save because it's one of the most, I guess it's the most automated factory in Japan at this time. So it only needs 2 actual workers. And so Ron is convinced that Dr. Draken is trying to steal Christmas because it's a video game factory and these electronics that are in there are not something that are going to come out in the US until Christmas. So he surmises that he's trying to steal Christmas, while Kim is convinced, of course, that he's just trying to take over the world in some other way, which ends up being the case, of course.
Yeah, he uses that technology to create a giant mech. So they go and confront him. Spy things happen. It ends up like, I mean, just take a guess at how it would end. It ends with hacking the mech. We're introduced to Draken and Shigo. Draken is like a mad scientist-y kind of villain. He's got like light blue skin. He dresses like a scientist. He's got like a scar on his face, of course. Shigo, I don't know what her deal is. She wears like this green and black suit, and she has some sort of like mystic kind of powers or magic or something. Like she can do random things like her hands glow with like green fire. When she's fighting, she can shoot like energy blasts. She seems to be very strong. And I have no idea why she is aligned with Draken. It's just, I mean, it just starts off this way. But it sounds like you probably have some insight. So do share with the class.
Okay, so first of all, Dr. Draken, the reason that he's blue is not just like a character choice. It's because he accidentally dyed himself blue in one of his experiments. Yeah, as a result of one of his experiments. And then as far as Shigo's concerned, she was originally part of this team. I can't remember the name of I think it literally might have been Team Go or Go Team or something, because that's her family's surname is Go.
Go. Yeah.
So, yeah. And apparently it was very similar to the Fantastic Four in that way. So she has powers that are similar to Johnny Storm's, of course, or the Human Torch. So not in the sense that she can immolate her whole body, but that she is able to shoot the fire out of her hands. Right. So that's, I don't have a lot of backstory on that because I didn't like watch the episode that it was mentioned in or whatever, but that's just some light info on her at least. So she comes from like they're originally superheroes, but I guess she just got tired of super heroism. And so she went over to the side of evil because it was more appealing to her.
It looks more fun. I mean, I can't blame her. I can tell you Shigo is my favorite character of this series. I think she's hilarious. She's very sarcastic. You know, I like villains. And I like how critical she is of Draken. Like in the next episode, when she's just like, you're supposed to be like a villain mad scientist guy. Shouldn't you be making your own stuff? Because they're always just stealing things. And she's just insinuating that he's lazy.
The male characters in the show are obviously lesser than the female characters. And Shigo is clearly the smarter of the two. But I guess Draken just has more seniority and he's the one who owns all this equipment or whatever. So that's why she's following him instead of leading the team. When clearly she should be, because she's the one who has more sense.
Yeah, I think it's just like these two strong females, and there's like a duality there, Kim and Shigo, and then Ron and Draken, especially in the next episode. it's just these two strong female characters aligned themselves with very goofy, not very capable men.
Yeah. There's almost like a respect for one another, an unspoken respect because and that's just something you see kind of going on throughout the episodes too. And it's interesting actually, because like I was expecting this to be more of the show in general to be more of a villain of the week thing. But in all 3 episodes we watched, it was literally the same villains over and over. And that might just be coincidental. I'm sure there's others, but we only saw Draken and Shigo throughout the 3 that we watched. The villains escape, and that's when it takes us back to like the dance. Well, not the dance yet, but it takes us back to school where she's trying to ask out Josh Mankey. And in the process, she does ask him out awkwardly and he accepts, but then she accidentally locks Ron in this janitor's closet. And it's funny because like it fast forwards, like it skips time up to the dance and it shows like Kim dancing with Josh, and you hear Ron just like yelling from the closet
he's
for someone to let him out. Yeah.
One thing we didn't talk about much, but something I do like is I like the short moments with Kim and her family where she's like, at the dinner table and she's talking about, her parents bring up like what kind of super spy stuff she's doing. But the thing that's bugging her is, being nervous about asking out this guy and getting advice from her parents and stuff like that. I just thought that was cool.
Yeah, I liked what her mom said too. It was something to the effect of asking a guy out is like jumping into a cold pool or something like that.
Cold water.
Or jumping into cold water. So you just take a deep breath and take the plunge or something.
Yeah.
And that's good advice, like in general, like for situations you're nervous about, just do it. Like just brace yourself and do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's good parental advice.
And if you get rejected, it takes you a little time to adjust, but you'll be fine. Just like jumping into cold water. It takes you a little bit to adjust. Then you'll be fine until you get hypothermia and die. But
well, I mean, in that same way, that's like if you were to ask someone out, get rejected, and then you just stand there for a while, then you're going to be even worse off. So just like if you jump in the water and it's too cold,
you just got to move around.
Just leave. Yeah.
Swim around a bit.
Or just get out of the water.
Just keep swimming, guys. Keep swimming.
Keep on swimming.
Or girls. We're talking about girls. Keep swimming, girls.
Keep on swimming, everybody.
Yeah.
I have no good segue for the next episode, so we're just going to jump into it. The next one we watched was Emotion Sickness, Season 3, Episode 2. This was the highest rated?
Yes, it was.
This was the highest rated episode, and in this one, love and panic are in the air when a mood-altering microchip make Kim see Ron in a whole new way.
This was definitely my favorite of the 3 that we watched. This one was a lot of fun.
I can see why it's the highest rated, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, it was great. And there's continuity with it, too, that I didn't expect. So that's cool.
I always appreciate when we watch a set of 3 episodes and some of them lead up to the others in ways that I wouldn't have known. Even if it's like skipping a whole season over, which these episodes, the next 2 that we watched did, it's like, okay, wow. So that continued on from that episode, presumably.
Right. So Draken breaks into the lab of this scientist guy who's been experimenting with this, basically a remote that can change people's moods, like their emotions and things like that. Kim goes to stop him. Of course, it's Draken, it's Shigo, it's Kim, it's Ron. They're all there. Get into a scuffle. Things get blown up. Things get switched around. Shigo and Kim both end up with these receivers stuck on them. They don't know that they're there. It's like stuck on their necks. These little, like you would imagine a tiny tracking device thing. It's basically like that. And Ron grabs what he thought was a communicator, but he actually grabbed that remote that controls the emotions, and that basically whoever has that receiver on, that's who is going to be affected by this remote. So not realizing at first that that's what he did, he's playing with the communicator thing, and it's just sending Kim through all these moods where she's super angry or she's super like upset and crying, all these kind of things. On the other side of that, so Shigo is going through the same thing with Draken, and it's just really funny to see Draken and Ron kind of put in the same spot, reacting to the super irrational emotions that Shigo and Kim are going through. But the best part is when there's a part where they're just all over the place, and it's because you find out that Kim's two younger brothers are playing with it because they think it's a game. And they're just going like from one emotion to the next. And then her mom sees it and is like, this isn't a toy, takes it away from them. And when she sets it down, it sets to love. And that's what basically launches the rest of the episode, because then Kim is suddenly head over heels in love with Ron. And likewise, Shigo is head over heels in love with Draken. And it's funny because neither Draken and Ron know what to do. Like, it's so funny, especially I think Shigo and Draken, I think were even funnier just because it was so strange, because Shigo's usually like really mean to Draken and stuff. And he's just like, he doesn't know how to react.
Yeah, it was great seeing them, Shigo and Draken, because at one point before the love part came in, he was just like laying on the ground in a fetal position.
Yeah, he was so scared. He was so scared of her.
Yeah. But yeah, after the love thing kicks in, it was great. And you even get a little montage of them kind of running around. Yes. Shigo still, even though she is like head over heels for him, she's still an evil henchman. So she's literally goes and steals candy from a baby to give it to Draken.
And they go on a date.
Yeah, like against his will. But they at this point, he's just like, whatever you want, like just tell me because I'm scared of you.
Exactly. Yeah. On the flip side of that, so like Kim's getting really clingy on Ron, and he's just like getting a little freaked out by it. And then she finally just goes for it and just kisses him, like big time kiss in front of Wade, which freaks him out. And he's like, no, this is wrong. And it makes Ron pass out. And I like when Ron, you see him sitting in a house. I assumed it was his, and he's talking out loud, going through what's going on. And he's just all over the place. Like it just keeps like jumping forward in time to him doing different things as he's talking this out. At the end of it, when he's like, okay, I have to break up with Kim before I ruin our friendship. And then it shows that he's in his teacher's house.
And that was, I think Patrick Warburton is his name.
Yes, it was. It was Patrick Warburton voicing the teacher.
You can definitely tell his voice.
Absolutely.
And so it literally, the core of the episode is the hilarity ensuing because of how unusually lovey-dovey Kim and Shigo are being towards the other, their counterparts. And we get to eventually a point where they finally meet back up with the scientist who they accidentally stole that from, or like he's searching for the device and he finds Ron and like gets the device from him as well. At the same time, because Draken is hiding from, Shigo, he's overhearing what Ron and the scientist are talking about. So he jumps out, grabs it, and then uses the other device that he stole from the scientist, which apparently is it's an amplifier that powers up electronic devices.
Like 10.
In his words, turns them potentially evil or for the sake of evil or something. So he gets the device, slaps it on the modulator controller, and that overcharges it in such a way that you see Shigo and Kim going through like a rapid set of emotions just like right in front of your eyes. Like they're literally twitching from like one emotion to the next. And then like the device overloads and explodes, and the scientist is like, oh, I'm sorry. Like now she's stuck in a permanent fit of rage. And then he's like, it would be real bad if she was mad at somebody right now. And of course, at the time she's mad at Ron because he just broke up with her. Yes. And Shigo is angry with Draken. So then like they're getting full on Kim and Shigo attacking towards them.
Also, like apparently Kim has some super strength because she picks up and throws a hot dog cart. I don't know if that's because of what happened with the thing, but I was like, whoa, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't know that was possible. So Ron and Draken, again, stuck in the same situation. They're out in public as this is happening, and then there is there's like a city-wide celebration thing. It's like a Harvest Day sort of kind of event. It's just something for the city. There's a float coming by. So Ron and Draken both end up hiding in the same, like the bottom of this float. not knowing each other were in there. And then Draken's just like, no, I called dibs. And Ron's like, I called double dibs. It was it was good. And then both women rip the thing open and find them. And yeah, it's funny. It was a great scene.
At a certain point, Kim is she has Ron basically dead to rights, or at least Shigo does. And he's like, he's crying out to her like, Kim, like help your teammate or whatever. And she's like going through conflicted emotions where she's in that unstoppable fit of rage, but she still has a sense of duty about her or loyalty to Ron. So she's in trying to like get through these emotions. She overloads the chip that's on her neck and it explodes. And so like she's able to come back to her senses and help Ron out, save her from Shigo. But Shigo's is still active. So she immediately goes back after Draken after she's pushed away from Ron.
Yeah. Would you say that Ron made Kim's fit of rage stoppable? Huh? You get
see what you did there.
Yeah.
And I think you're right also, actually.
I took us on a journey and we have arrived.
Yeah. The root of this and what's really cool about it is the way this episode ends where Ron asks her the obvious question, like, oh, so, all the feelings you had towards me, like that was all just because of the modulator, and fireworks literally go off in the sky. And then it's like, oh, so maybe there's something there.
I was like, oh man, maybe she actually does like him. And then that jumps us to the next episode.
Exactly. That is a good segue. Jumps to the next episode, which is Mad Dogs and Aliens, season 4, episode 6. And this is did you choose this one or did Ira?
I chose this one.
And this was chosen by Chris. Why'd you choose this one?
I chose this one because it introduces this character named Warmanga. And what I know about the final 2 episodes of the series is that Warmanga has somehow become a threat to the whole world, and that Kim has to team up with Draken and Shigo to stop her. So this is the episode where she's introduced. So I was like, okay, let's see who Warmanga is, so I can get a feel for what kind of threat she becomes later.
Oh, okay. So it's like the prelude to the ending.
Exactly.
Got it. Interesting. Okay. In this one, Ron's having letting go issues when he has to pass on the role of the Middleton mascot to Kim's brothers. Kim learns that a green-skinned, energy-blasting woman just broke Dr. Draken out of prison, but it's not Shigo? That's a question mark.
Yeah, Shigo's on vacation. Yeah. She's living the life of luxury.
She was, but of course it's assumed that she's the only green-powered woman who would break, well, really that's even there, but also the one who would break Draken out of prison. And so Kim and Ron go out to, I think she's in Greece at the time.
Yes, she is getting a massage by a very burly man named Midas, who has apparently the Midas touch.
The golden touch, yeah.
Yes. You get it? Because, you get it.
I get it. Yeah, so they confront her in Greece, and we jumped ahead a little bit because the rest of it was kind of introduced in the intro of the episode. Yes. But yeah, so they're in Greece at the spa confronting her, and she's like, I don't know what you're here for, but I'm on vacation. Leave me alone. I had nothing to do with freeing Draken. Who do you think I'm on vacation from? And she's just really upset with them and just trying to get them away from her so she can continue her vacation. At one point, Ron gets thrown into a spa with these like naked old men.
That's funny.
Yeah. I thought it was really funny that he stayed in there for a while and was like explaining his woes to them about that's a recurring thing throughout this episode is how he's, no matter what else is happening, he's just on the back of his mind is always about this Mad Dog mascot that he's giving up. And he's like, I can't let like these 2 little kids take over. Like they're it's not right. Like it's sacrilege to the Mad Dog mascot. It can't be 2 of them. It's just singular. And so he's going through this whole like range of emotions with that. So talking to it with anybody he can, even though no one cares but him.
Yeah. Also, Ron and Kim are dating at this point.
Oh yes, that's
again, the carryover from last episode.
The carryover, exactly.
Yeah.
And I don't know how long it took. Like maybe it was directly after that episode they started dating. I don't know, but whatever the case, it got to that point by this episode.
Yeah. So the woman that did save Draken was Warmongga, who is this alien. She's very tall. She's very muscular. And she has lots of state-of-the-art weaponry. She's also not very aware of her surroundings. So, like, she goes to his lair. She kind of leans against something or presses on something. Her strength kind of makes the entire thing collapse. But she presses this button on this thing that she has, and it builds a new one with tons of weapons. So Draken's just like, oh my gosh, yes, this is who I need in my life. So the reason that Draken came, or that the reason Warmongga came and got Draken was because she was told this prophecy of the Great Blue, who was supposed to, I guess he was going to master the universe or something, and that someone of her, I guess, race or something was to pledge themselves to the Great Blue. And because Draken has blue skin, she assumed that was him. She saves him. She's pledged herself to him. Yeah, and all that good stuff. When Shigo finds out that this is going on, she comes back just because she wants to see what's going on here. And she doesn't necessarily want to, like, I don't think she's necessarily jealous. I just think she thinks it's kind of funny in a very sarcastic way, and she's kind of wanting to see it fail. But because Shigo left Draken in prison and didn't save him, he sicks Warmongga on her, and Warmongga beats the crap out of her and then imprisons her.
Oh, yeah. Like, Warmongga is clearly the stronger of the two, and that's something that Draken really keeps expressing to Shigo, is like, oh, she's a much better henchman. Like,
yes,
you know, I want you to see that you're chained up so that you can see this. Like, you're just witnessing this. Like, stop interrupting me, because that's something that she always does. Like, when Draken's trying to explain something to someone, Shigo interrupts, and that's something she brings up too, is like, she's trying to get Warmongga to do it as well. What Warmongga is very much like in servitude of the Great Blue. So she's like, no, you know, I refuse to interrupt while he's talking. And she's like, oh, come on. Like, that's what we do. That's what henchmen do. It's interesting seeing Shigo come into this because, like you said, it's not really out of jealousy or anything. It's just to prove a point to Draken that she is the better of the two and that he's in over his head here.
So he sees this as an opportunity. He's like, okay, I have Warmongga. She's clearly way better. This is my opportunity to finally defeat Kim, his arch nemesis. Yeah, so I don't remember exactly what he did, but he put something out there and Kim comes after him and goes up against Warmongga by herself. Ron is not with him or with her because he is now on the football team and he's in the middle of the game. She's the cheerleader and she takes the call while she's in the pyramid. And then it's just like, okay. And then she leaves and everyone's looking at her funny, which I thought was funny. So she goes to face off and she is not winning. What I think was interesting is that during the midst of the battle, they receive a call, or Draken receives a call at his base. And it ends up being one of Kim's little brothers in the dog costume, but with like a blue tint to it, who says he's the real Great Blue and, all this stuff. And like, you need to come to me. I'm on Pluto or something. So Warmongga gets angry. It was like, you deceived me. And she leaves Draken. What I like the reveal here is that what happened was that Shigo contacted Wade and Ron to come help and save Kim. And I think that was cool. And it's not necessarily that she turned the other leaf, but she has respect for Kim. And she wants to be the one that defeats Kim herself because they've, been at each other for 4 seasons of this show. Right.
So much so that Shigo, like, she was not chained up, but she had some kind of gauntlets on her. Like, she was trapped.
Yes.
And forced to watch this whole thing going on. And then Kim was dead to rights. Like, Warmongga was literally about to strike her down. And because of all this going on, like, Shigo was getting so furious that she literally blasted her way out of these gauntlets and shoots Warmongga away from Kim before that decisive blow. So yeah, she basically saves Kim's life twice in this single episode, but not because she's gone hero or anything, but because, like you said, It's like it's very like a Joker Batman situation where he has to be the one who defeats her, because there was a point where Harley Quinn was going to, and he basically tells her to set Batman free because it wasn't his plan that got him trapped.
Oh yeah, no, the one with the piranha tank.
With the upside down.
Yeah.
So it looks like they're smiling. What you're
talking about. But yeah, I like that, and it's kind of so this is a cool precursor to the end of the series. Not only in that it introduces Warmonger, but it also sows those seeds of an alliance, because we do know that Kim will have to team up with Draken and Shigo to defeat Warmonger. So it sows the seeds for both of those things, and so I felt like this was a really important episode for us to see.
Yeah, definitely. And it's one of those where I really did respect, not just in this episode, but in general, I respected Shigo as a villain. There's a lot of villainous cartoon characters that I don't really care for because they're just too black and white, but although she was evil, she had a lot of gray to her, and she was just an interesting character.
Yeah, so, I mean, the morally gray people they're almost always the more interesting of the characters out there, you know?
Yeah, almost exclusively, yeah.
Yeah, they just have way more depth and way more layers, which that makes them more realistic than other characters.
Oh, definitely. Well, Chris, looks like it's about time we ask Wade to reach out to our inner kids by beeping them, I guess, to find out what they thought of the show Kim Possible.
I had a really hard time with this cartoon because I couldn't figure out if Kim or Shigo would be the better girlfriend. But it was lots of fun and really funny, even though Ron got kind of annoying. But hey, Rufus. So I give this show 4.5 bowls of naked mole rat cereal out of 5.
Even before watching this show, it had been built up so much by fans that I was afraid it wasn't going to be capable of living up to the expectations. Now having seen it, I'm happy to say that it absolutely did. Kim is a very hip and likable protagonist who fits well into the role of a strong female lead, and Ron is, well, he's Ron. While I did feel like his eccentric character was going to grow a little tiresome, it was never so overplayed that it became annoying, which is actually quite an accomplishment. On top of the strong characters, great comedic stylings, and excellent animation, it was truly just a fun show. Overall, I'd give Kim Possible 5 big bowls of naked mole rat munchies cereal out of 5, and recommend you check this one out. And now that I've seen this show, my next step is to dye my body completely blue in order to become the next great blue, so that I can have Warmonger as my follower. I don't really want to conquer worlds, though. You think she'd be okay just playing video games with me instead?
Well, I can tell you one thing, kid. If the whole being the great blue thing doesn't work out, you can always join the Blue Man group.
Yeah, very true.
So do you have any final thoughts on Kim Possible?
There was a big part of me that was thinking, like, because it's got so much praise and like it's won even like Emmys and such, that I knew it was going to be a good show. It was just one that I never gave a chance as a kid for whatever reason. And I'm glad that we were able to see it now. So thanks to Ira, who brought this about, as he brings about all these awesome shows. I don't know if I'll watch the rest of it just because of time constraints, but if I just have a day where I'm like, I'm just going to chill and watch cartoons, this will be one that I throw on for sure, because I did like where it was going. And actually, if anything, I'd like to see how the 4th season wraps up, now having been introduced to Warmonger, like you said.
Yeah, I was told that it was a good show by a lot of people, but I was still surprised by how much that I enjoyed it. I mean, regardless of setting, there's something to be said about the nostalgia that you can find in a show that's set during high school, but then has, adding extra things like this super spy aspect to it, and especially in this interesting way where she isn't hiding a secret identity. And that's really cool, because most shows like that, the big issue is keeping the identity hidden. So this show just threw that out the window right off the bat so that they could tackle other things. And I really appreciate that, because it really made it stand out, and it made it just more interesting to me. It could have been a run of the mill, teenage spy kind of thing. And it wasn't. I also really loved Draken and Shigo's relationship. They were definitely my favorite part of the whole thing. Like I said, Shigo was definitely my favorite character. I think there was a lot added by them, by their presence, because I think that, if they weren't the main villains, I mean, obviously they are, but if they weren't, then I think the show would not have been as good. But yeah, it was very enjoyable, and I don't know that I would watch more of it, except I would watch the series finale. I think it's a 2-parter. I would watch it because I am interested to see what happens and how it wraps up, like you said.
Yeah, and like I was talking about earlier, this is one of those good balancing acts they were playing where you've got enough of it. While it's a strong female lead, that might deter some like young boys, but at the same time, it's so action packed that would bring those, those doubters back in. Simultaneously, they're able to balance out these relationships and character building that the female audiences tend to appreciate more. So I think it's got a lot of just everything it needs going on to keep all audiences interested. And it doesn't talk down to you in any way or talk down to kids or whatever. So it's even got enough going on to where adults can appreciate it as well. So it's a show that's very well rounded and really kind of holds your attention. It doesn't, at no point did I get bored. In fact, since we had to record the episode a little late today, I actually just finished rewatching all 3 of those episodes.
Oh,
and
nice.
I enjoyed them just as much the second time. So
yeah, I can say that's one thing. There are several cartoons, even ones I like sometimes where I feel kind of bored at some point. Like I almost always hit that wall at some point where I'm like, all right, I just got to get through it. I did not have it with this one, and I was surprised that I didn't.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
thank you very much, Ira, for bringing this to us. I really liked it.
Yes, please suggest more. Bring it up to the top of the list.
Keep going.
Did he throw any more suggestions on there?
Oh yeah, we definitely have some. Quite a few.
Nice.
Also, we got a few new 5-star reviews on iTunes. So thank you everyone who's been giving us ratings. We have yet to have anything but a 5, and I may have just jinxed us there. But we do have one comment that accompanies one of these 5-star ratings, and I would like to read it to you now. So the comment is titled, "Oof, this show. 5 stars, rated by Nickel Force." And I know that I've seen Nickel Force on YouTube commenting before, so thank you, Nickel Force. I'm glad you're still listening. This is what Nickel Force has to say. You're going to love this. This is the best comment we've ever gotten, okay? Brace yourself, Joseph, because you're not prepared for this. You're not prepared.
I'm not at all.
You're not. It's great. Okay, let's see if I can get through this thing. I'd rather see how the thing gets his rocks off. I'd rather beef it on a half pipe. I'd rather take advice from Q5. I'd rather get struck by Spitter's creamy white substance from Street Sharks. I'd rather work... Hey, hang on.
Okay. Sorry.
I'd rather work for a Saw Boss. I'd rather fight Lava Jesus. I'd rather have my soul transferred to a meteor and be sent off to a better place. I'd rather have the superpowers of Turbo Teen. I'd rather be watching Slimer and the Real Ghostbusters. I'd rather make Hulk Hogan mad, than miss an episode of this amazing podcast. Good job, guys.
God.
Keep up the excellent work.
Wow.
Dude, he hits like all of these in jokes from like the very beginning of this show. That's crazy.
That's deep cuts, man. Like even I can't remember that much about our show.
So deep cuts. I remember them all because I am a better person than Joseph is. But I love the Hulk Hogan one. That was like our 5th or 6th episode. I think it was our 5th one. Yeah. So that's super deep cuts.
I remember watching the Hulk Hogan Rock and Wrestling, but I don't remember the make him mad part.
Oh man. Yeah, I remember it. He's like, it makes me mad. Mad.
That was great. I love that comment.
Yeah.
That might have been my favorite comment yet.
Best comment I've ever received for any reason.
I was worried about where it was going at first. I was like, this is a 5-star, right? Because I could easily say that could easily be, I'd rather do all of these things than listen to another episode of this garbage.
No. He's a fan. So thank you, Nickel Force. We really appreciate that. Honestly,
gosh, thank you.
That is seriously the coolest thing that we've ever heard. So like, thank you. We love you for that.
Absolutely. I do love you. And please, if you've suggested anything, secretly tell us what it is and I will bump it up to the top myself.
Nice. We're not playing favorites,
favorites.
But we're playing favorites.
Yeah, we don't play favorites unless you give us a great comment. Then we play favorites.
Right, maybe that could be an incentive. Maybe if you give us a 5-star rating somewhere, make sure we see it, and then maybe, just maybe, we'll bump you up a little in line. maybe.
Well, if you've got a great comment like that, then we
Yeah,
can't
I mean,
help it.
he pretty much killed it. I don't know if anyone can top that.
No, we're not opposed to bribery, and that did it for us.
Yeah.
Man, okay, well, I guess bouncing back from that, listeners, looks like our milk supply is now run dry, so it's time for us to say goodbye. Next week, we'll be watching
Captain N, the Game Master, suggested via Facebook by Sean Hockney.
Oh, cool.
I'm excited
Man.
for this one, man. I'm super excited. Thank you, Sean, for suggesting this. I have been wanting to get this one forever because it has been on our list for so long.
Yes, thank you, Sean. That's awesome because now we get to see the terrible rendition of Simon Belmont. We get to see Mother Brain. We get to see, is this the one that Bigfoot and Mega Man are in too?
God, I hope so. I hope so.
Oh, man. Because if it's the Mega Man I'm thinking of, he's just like, he's got such a deep voice. It's like this.
Oh my gosh. He turned into what, Bev Bighead from Rocco's Modern Life? Oh, Rocco.
Rocco. Yeah, exactly. No, it's like Mega Man's been smoking for years.
Oh,
is
my
what it sounds
goodness.
like.
I really
if
hope
I'm
that's
thinking
the
of the
case.
right one. So yeah, I'm looking forward to watching it again. It's been a while.
Me too, man.
All right. Well, once again, I'm Joseph,
And I'm Chris.
and we'll see you next Saturday.
Presented by Nerdsloth.
A place for lazy nerds.
If you like what you heard, consider donating at patreon.com/nerdsloth so we can continue bringing you quality shows. Be sure to also leave us a review and share your favorite episodes and clips on social media. If you're looking for more content, visit us at nerdsloth.com.